Good morning, Ritesh. Let's see. In yesterday's session, we have just considered the points which are the key factors that are shaping an area's climate. So, variety of factors are there which are shaping the climate. So, in this, there are majorly four factors as temperature, sunlight, water, wind. And apart from these four factors, there are also some of the other factors, but these are the mainly four factors we can consider. So you can see here land surface processes, ocean, and atmosphere. So these three factors which are involving these four different ways through which the area's climate is being shaped. Apart from that, one more factor we can consider, and it is nothing but the land masses. So that are also helping out in shaping the climate. So as far as land masses is concerned, two things you need to always consider: coastal, and second one is the mountains. Later on, we consider the biomes. So they are nothing but naturally occurring community. And as far as world is concerned, across the seven different continentals, you would be having six different biomes, right from tropical rainforest to a tundra, which are certainly characterized by a set of abiotic factors. Very first one, tropical rainforest, which is basically warm uh, temperature, abundant precipitation of all the year. And here you can see a kind of uh, graph in which the precipitation is the function of temperature over over a period of 12 months. And this could be the way we can find out which is supporting life in this way. Second one is grassland prime, grassland biome, which is having different kinds of varieties. Desert biome, in this one you will be having the arid, semi-arid, coastal, hot and cold kinds of environments. In fourth class of temperate forests, you would be having a deciduous trees. And the second last one, taiga, which is which found at which found a cool at cool northern climates, and there would be you would be having a long winters and short summers. Further, last one is tundra, which is far north latitudes with long winters, and they are permafrost. Apart from that, you could have one more thing, that is the polar ice caps and mountains that are not considered as the biomes, but still you need to consider because itself is having a kind of significance. So as there is no soil, so it does not have a specific plant community uh, found at poles, and most animal depends there on the seafood. The factors uh, effect on biosphere. So the distance between the earth and the sun, very first one. Seasons and seasonal climate changes. Summer months allows half of the planet to warm while the other half cools. So here you do have 6 months later. Shifting in the opposite direction. Chemical erosion and the biological erosion. These are the two phenomena we have to consider, wherein oxidation reduction and the organic to inorganic breakdown. These are the two phenomena which are happening. And lastly, we consider the role of water in the biosphere. So we consider it as universal solvent, which is the base of all life. The hydrosphere is important, right? So these were the different things which we have considered. Now, I had thought about going back to kind of military things, but there is a point which is uh, most relevant with this point called biosphere. So we will consider that point, and probably later on we will go back to the military question. So I will share with you another PPT. And its title is The Atmosphere. Very closely related to biosphere. So we will consider this particular point, the atmosphere. Here you need to ask a question to yourself, that what do you know about it? What do you consider under the heading of atmosphere? Right. So very first thing that you can see, right? So this is our home planet, and surrounding this, we do come across some sort of layers. So that altogether is considered as atmosphere. And therefore, we may say that the atmosphere is the blanket of air that surrounds the earth. So what you are going to consider as atmosphere? So it is nothing but the blanket of air that surrounds the earth. So the atmosphere, which you need to now uh, define as well as consider some of the other points related to atmosphere. So very first one, At this moment, I would like to tell you that see, such kinds of numbers are not that much exact. So you will be finding out different numbers if you go for different kinds of books, but still close to or approximately nearby we can consider, right? So don't completely rely on these numbers. You can consider here and there by some kilometers, right? So why I'm saying that you will come to know when we will go for uh, some of the layers of this particular point. Anyway, it reaches over 560 kilometers from the surface of the earth. That means what? If you start from the surface of the earth, you would go up, and whenever you will reach up to 560 kilometers, you would be finding out this particular layer. Now here we are considering this, or I will say at this moment, it is nothing but the mixture of different kinds of layers. So mixture of 5 different layers is forming the atmosphere. And what is the range of that atmosphere? Range of that atmosphere is around 560 kilometers above the surface of the earth. So that is a thing you can consider according to this particular statement. Now, what is exactly what exactly it is doing? So it absorbs the energy from the sun. It recycles water and other chemicals. It protects us from high energy radiation and the frigid vacuum of space. See, these are the functions, and really, these are being taken care, these are being performed by this particular mixture. And each of these is being played by different kinds of layers. So they are very, very important if we consider each of these points. Further, the atmosphere protects the life, right? Also, it is supporting the life. So protection and support of life by the atmosphere, you may consider. Then geographers are concerned with the first 2 layers of the atmosphere. So as I said, broadly, you will be having 4 different layers, but as such, you may consider 5 layers of the atmosphere. Among these 5 layers, first 2 layers are being concerned by the geographers, or geographers are really concerned with the first 2 layers of the atmosphere. So the Earth system. Now already we have gone through, or we know about this particular point wherein we have considered these different spheres. Now you see, you can consider them as bidirectional, and altogether are forming the biosphere. Right. So you can go from this layer to this layer, this layer to this layer, or this pair to this pair, right? And vice versa is also possible. At the same time, you may start from this, right? You may be going to this direction, in this direction, or in this direction. Right? That means what? This cannot be alone. This has to be part of each of these, or in other words, every sphere is forming this particular sphere, right? Or every sphere is contributing towards biosphere. So the Earth system is having these 3 things which are always considered in the biosphere. Now, if you further consider the composition of air, so what is there in the air? Anybody? 2 major things you
Oxygen.
yes, oxygen and nitrogen, right?
Yes, sir.
So mostly these are the two factors, and obviously around 1% you will be finding out some other factors. So that 1% of the year is being formed by so many different gases or different ingredients. Fine. So nitrogen around nitrogen 78%, oxygen 21%, right, and other gases around 1%. So altogether it becomes 100%. Now, as far as nitrogen is concerned, right, as far as nitrogen is concerned, you can have nitrogen in the biosphere, right? So, or the atmosphere, and it's a kind of cycle which is uh, demonstrating the importance of nitrogen. So, as far as a food cycle is concerned, right? So, for the purpose of if you can start in this way, so here you do have bacteria in soil which use and release the nitrogen that is being consumed by molecules, right? So nitrogen containing molecules which are being what you can consider, which are being consumed by plants. So the these are acting as the plant proteins, and obviously the animals are consuming them for their proteins, right? So you can have a complete cycle, right? So you can directly go in this direction or you can go in this direction as well, right? And then again go back like this. As like that, for oxygen also, here you do have oxygen creation, right? And which is being which is important as far as the life on the earth is concerned, right? So animals breathe in oxygen and they give out the carbon dioxide, and with the help of sunlight, these integrated part of our life are absorbing these uh, gases and further creating the life gases, right? So this is what we can consider the cycles related to nitrogen and oxygen, and then they are really important. So what about these other gases of around 1%? So they are responsible for greenhouse gases. So it is going to contain carbon dioxide, water vapor, methane, right, etc. Some other would be there, but as such, a cause is being considered, which is named as greenhouse gases. So this particular this greenhouse gases, so greenhouse effect is mainly caused by some of the gases called carbon dioxide, water vapor, and methane. So these are the part of this 1%, and apart from that, there are some other contents within this 1%. So apart from carbon dioxide, you will be coming across neon, helium, methane, krypton, nitrous oxide, hydrogen, ozone, and argon. So just consider within 1%, 0.93% is argon, and remaining 0.07% is forming by these 8 different kinds of varieties. Right? So how diversified is this particular 1%? Right? So that you need to consider. So all other gases you will be coming across are apart from carbon dioxide, the neon, helium, methane, krypton, nitrous oxide, hydrogen, and ozone. Right? See, every one of these is having its own role. So obviously, no doubt, pros and cons would be associated with each of these, but they are going to have their own role, as like the nitrogen is having its role in the nitrogen uh, cycle and oxygen in the oxygen cycle. Fine. So nitrogen and oxygen, these are the two life support gases. So one is mostly important for the products, plants, and another one, this one is important for the human lives or the animals' life. Right. So through these two point of views, these are the two cycles which are really important. Right. Now, since we are going to see the atmosphere, so obviously we need to consider one point which is called a pressure. Now, what exactly this is? So, pressure in the atmosphere. Now, you can feel here uh, in this particular cube, you can see two things. Here, there is a crowd of the molecules, and here the density of that molecules is very less. Density of molecules is very less, and density of the molecules is very high. So you can consider more dense, less dense. So what are the significances of less dense and more dense that we need to consider? So less dense is lower pressure, more dense is higher pressure. So whenever you can consider a crowd, higher pressure is being exerted. And if you consider the lower pressure, then that would be related to the lower density. So density would decide the pressure being exerted. So low pressure would be less density, and more density is completely signifying the higher pressure. So denser and higher pressures, these are the two things you can consider. So at the bottom, you would feel higher pressure, and as you go up, you would feel low pressure. And why? Because of presence of these molecules. So in the atmosphere, also this particular thing is being happen. Right? So molecules of what? Molecules of different things. Molecules of gases, molecules of water vapors, molecules of dust particles. Fine. So these are the different things across which you will come. So in order to define the atmospheric pressure, you may consider, or in general, you might be knowing that force per unit area is called as the pressure, very simply. Right? But still, you can have the force per unit area exerted into a surface by the weight of air. Above that, the surface in the atmosphere of Earth. Now, you could understood what could be the pressure, right? Here you have defined it. Now, next question comes in that how would you measure it? That is also important. Right? So for that purpose, again, you need to consider some of the points. So as I said, molecules which are closest to Aditya, will you please mute yourself? So gas molecules which are closest to Earth's surface, which are packed together very closely. Right. So here, as we can consider, and then this means pressure is lower the higher up you go into the atmosphere. So if you start from this point, and if you go in this direction, you would start feeling lower down the pressure as you go upward. So this is a point to be always considered as far as this one. Now next point is that how you are going to measure it. Fine. So before that, you need to again consider one thing. Suppose you are at a sea level, and there would be the weight of column of air above the person, which is about 9,800 newtons. And this would be equal to the weight of a small car. So it's a relative thing, how you feel, right? It depends on the position where you are, and obviously surrounding what, right? And you can see simply only 9,800 newtons would be feeling equal to a kind of small car. Why I'm giving this example? Because just we have considered different kinds of molecules which are at the bottom, right? As you approach the Earth's surface, if you go up from the Earth's surface, you would be feeling the decrease in the crowd of these molecules. So obviously that is defining the pressure. But how you can feel it? So you can feel it in this way. Now, what is the physical significance of this particular crowd and this decrease in the gas molecules, right, as a function of altitude? So as a function of altitude, the existence of these gas molecules would result in different pressure. Suppose you do have almost zero altitude. That means what? You are very close, right? Or you are at the surface. So you can feel as much as high pressure. You can see around 1,000 millibar pressure you would feel at this particular point. And the reason behind it is the density, right? The crowd of the gas molecules. Now, if you go up at altitude, say around 4 kilometers, then you would come across decreased pressure, which is around 800 millibars. Further you go up to say 8 kilometers, then the pressure is going to decrease, which is less than 600 millibars. If you further go up, say around 20 kilometers, then you would reach 20 kilometers, you would have the pressure, further decrease in pressure, and which would be slightly greater than 400 millibars. Likewise, if you go up, right, and if you reach up to 26 of kilometers in the altitude, you will be going to consider around 200 millibars pressure. And you can consider, we have thought, or we have consider a number around 560 kilometers, then what would be the pressure, right? So this is the way to understand the functioning. This is the way to understand the presence of the gas molecules as a function of altitude. So this would be the point. You can have exponential relationship between the pressure and the latitude, right? Because of the presence of gas molecules, or variation in the presence of the gas molecules. Fine. So 200, 400, 600, 800, and 1,000. Fine. So this would be at, obviously, at the sea level. So pressure varies smoothly from the Earth's surface to the top of the mesosphere, right? Obviously, you will be coming to 4 different kinds of spheres, and this is what you reach in measuring the pressure. So usually this kind of measurements, or this kind of instruments, have been used to measure the pressure. And the name of that particular instrument is called as a barometer. So barometer is an instrument that measures atmospheric pressure. Barometer is an instrument that measures atmospheric pressure. So here you have the air pressure, right? And uh, this is a tube containing mercury. If you immerse it into say a kind of liquid, the mercury gains the height. Mercury gains the height. So as much as height it gains in that particular column, basically it is of glass column, you would come to know the pressure within that particular area or in that particular region. So that was the very simple way of measuring pressure. But you know, mercury is so poisonous, and you cannot deal with it. So through that point of view, now you need to consider some of the sophisticated instruments. And nowadays, as there had been so many developments, so you can come across a kind of meter, right? Basically a barometer, which is in these days being used for the measurement of the pressure. And now we can consider the actual core points of atmosphere. So till now, whatever we have seen is no doubt is having its own importance, and it is being utilized at different stages. So that is also important. But through the point of view of the core contents of atmosphere, you would be coming across different layers. So very first one is the troposphere, which is very close, or it is the first layer if you start from the surface of Earth, called troposphere. After this region, you will come across a stratosphere. After that, you will come across mesosphere. Later on, you will come across thermosphere. And at the last, no doubt, you will be having an exosphere, right? Though it is in general considered a part of thermosphere, but just to mention, I would say it is exosphere. Now, each of these layers is going to have its own importance. So altogether, now what you can consider? You may consider that atmosphere is nothing but the mixture of gases, water vapor, and dust particles. So all time, keep in mind this particular definition for atmosphere. You need to have this particular thing whenever you come across atmosphere. So your understanding should be should be started from a mixture containing gases, water vapor, and dust particles, and that is really important. So atmosphere is mixture of gases, water vapor, and dust particles. Got it? And obviously, this is really important. This is the answer of one of the questions, right? So at this moment, if I ask you a question that, do you know how the clouds are being formed? Anybody who can tell how the clouds are being formed?
Water vapor.
Sir, because of the water cycle.
Water vapors.
Water vapors?
So water vapors in the air and droplets और ice crystals जो होते हैं उनसे.
By and large, which are called the water vapors, no doubt. Okay, definitely this point will come. At that time, you will see in detail. But as I have asked a question, I will just give you the answer. So, you know, gas molecules and dust particles are there. So these two are of hygroscopic nature. And as they are of hygroscopic nature, they are facilitating the aggregation, or they bring together, or they coagulate water vapors or water molecules. And in that way, the clouds are being formed. Fine. So the hygroscopic nature of these two. So obviously, because of hygroscopic nature, the water molecules are being attracted. So if the water molecules are being attracted by dust particles, then obviously clouds are being formed, right? Rest of the other things related to clouds that we will see later on, right? Within this presentation only, you will come across its consequences as well as some other details. Fine. So here the point to be understood is you need to consider it's a mixture of gases, water vapor, and dust particles. Fine. So very first layer now we are going to consider, and that is nothing but the troposphere. So you can have the very first layer as troposphere. So here you would come across a kind of say the presentation, right? Exactly what kind of thing you are going to have, right? So it is the most thinnest layer. It is most thinnest layer and spread around 16 kilometers. But again, it would be having its it would be having variation in its spreading. So 16 kilometer at equator and around 8 kilometers at the poles. So if you approach the equator, you will be finding out its layer around 16 kilometers. And if you approach the poles, either this pole or this pole, you would have around 8 kilometers, right? And this variation would be expected, right? We can consider these two different numbers which are related to the very first layer, and because of that, it is also called as the thinnest layer of the atmosphere. Further, it is the bottom layer of the atmosphere. That means what? If you start from the surface of Earth, very first you will find out this particular layer, and because of that, it is called as the bottom layer of the atmosphere. Above this layer, other layers are situated, and because of that, it is termed as the bottom layer of atmosphere. It stretches to around 13 kilometers, right? That would be in general, right? Or averagely we can consider. So 90% of this particular layer, right, is forming this particular is forming 90% of the mass of the atmosphere. So if you consider the complete mixture of atmosphere, among that around 90% is being formed by this particular layer, right? That is what you may consider. Arjun, will you make yourself mute? If you have any query, you can ask. Otherwise, please ensure that you are muted. So 90% of atmosphere's mass is being formed by this particular layer. Now, the variation in the temperature. So temperature increases if you start from surface of the Earth and if you go up. So at the surface of Earth, you would be at 0. If you start from that 0 and if you climb towards, or if you go upward up to 16 kilometers within this layer, you would be finding out that the temperature is going to decrease. Temperature is going to decrease, right? At this moment, I would leave a question with you: why this decrease in temperature would be happening as you go with altitude, right? As you go upside within this layer, why the temperature varies, rather why temperature decreases. So you just think on it. This is a layer where most of the weather conditions are happening. most of the weather conditions. So most of the weather is because of this particular layer, right? So you can consider how much important this particular layer. No doubt, every layer in the atmosphere is really important. They are having their own significances. They are having their own contributions. But still, if you consider this particular layer, right, which is very close to us, very close to our planet, right, and it is forming most of the weather conditions. It is containing 75% of the year. So whatever the year you are going to have surrounding us, so 75% of that particular year is within this particular layer or within this troposphere, right? So troposphere is having 75% of the year of the atmosphere, right? So these are the some of the features. Apart from this, further, mostly, right, mostly the, I don't know, yes, I got it now, because every 166 meter we climb, the year expands, and as up we go, even the breathing levels go down, no doubt, exactly. Yes. uh, okay, in order to support again in the this answer, right, uh, so further to support this particular point, if anybody wants to add up with this one, you can add, and still you do have a scope, right? You have to precisely come with some points, right, or some contributions, and definitely you can. So mostly, right, within that 75% of year, you can have mostly N2s and O2, right? So the temperature in this layer decreases, as I said, if you go up, but by what proportion it is decreasing. So the temperature in this layer decreases at the rate of 1 degree centigrade for every 165 meters of height. Now, this is just to you can consider this is just as one of the statistics, right? If you could simply remember this, otherwise don't worry about this particular point, right? This is the only way that I thought that if anybody is having a query that how per degree it changes, right, or how per degree the altitude is changing, right? So obviously to have a change of per degree, you have to consider around 165 meters of height in the altitude, right? So just a minute. So this is what you have a kind of statistic, right? This is the most important layer for all biological activity. Understand the gravity of this particular statement. It is the troposphere is most important layer for all biological activities. So as far as the biological activities are concerned, so why this is said like that, right? It is most important for biological activities. Anybody?
Sir, can you repeat the question?
Question is that why why this layer is important for biological activities?
So because all most of the phenomena take place in this layer.
Yes. So very first one, we consider mostly it is containing N2O2. It is forming around 75% of air, and it is also
Nitrogen fixation.
right. Exactly. Right. So these are the two things you may consider why this layer is so much important for the biological activities. Got it? So the boundary between the troposphere and the stratosphere is known as tropopause. So how you can understand this one in next slide, I will make you understand with this particular boundary with the help of a diagram. So the temperature at tropopause, right, at this boundary would be around minus 80 degrees centigrade over the equator and minus 45 degrees centigrade over the poles, and it is nearly constant, right, at equator this much and at poles this much. And now, so these are the four layers. So first one is the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and above this there is the exosphere. Fine. Now this figure is going to repeat for every sphere. So as far as troposphere is concerned, as I said, this could be considered as the surface of the earth. And if you go up, so you'll be finding out a layer. Now see here, you can start from 0 and around 20 you would be having here. But we consider 16, right? We consider 560, but here you can see it only 300. Fine. So these are the differences, what I wanted to tell you, right? And because of this, right, if you refer different kinds of books, you will be finding out different kinds of numbers. This would be the point you have to always consider. So what I was talking and what is important among this diagram at this moment, that is the boundary between troposphere and stratosphere. That is called the tropopause. So this black dotted line, right, the horizontal black dotted line, which is nothing but the tropopause. So the boundary between troposphere and stratosphere is called as tropopause. And this is the layer about which we have considered right now. Fine. So this would be a point which we need to consider. Got it? So this is the very first layer we are having. No doubt, in each of these layers, we are, or while seeing each of these spheres, we are coming again and again in this or with this particular diagram, and that would demonstrate you, right, about different points. So that's what we can consider here. I don't know, I'm not able to open the chat. Anyway, I wish to stop here. In the next session, we will go for stratosphere. Now, anything which you would like to ask, or do you have any kinds of questions? At the starting, you said there are 4 layers of atmosphere, but actually there are 7 layers. Broadly, you can consider there are 5 layers, right? Further, if you want to go in detail, you may have their bifurcation, and altogether you will come across 7 different kinds of layers. But always keep in mind, broadly, and you go across any kind of book, you will have the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. These are the only 5, right? But still you can add up, and that is what our perception is there, right? Wherein you will be knowing one more layer above exosphere as the magnetosphere, right? So it depends on, but altogether after mesosphere, remaining all layers are considered as ionosphere, right? But nowadays as scientists are searching more and more and coming up with some of the properties, special properties, and because of that special properties, now this particular layer is being further divided, right, by newly found properties. Fine. So that would be a point you need to understood at this particular point. Okay, anything else?
No, sir.
सर
Yes.
सर बर्मुडा बर्मुडा ट्रायंगल जो है उसके नीचे वॉल्केनो है या कुछ रेडिएशन है?
हाँ.
हाँ
So,
सर.
okay. So anybody who knows about this one? Either one of these two or both or something else? Okay. Now see, so there is a lot of ambiguity in knowing this particular answer, right? So what kind of ambiguity is there? That it is having radiations or volcanoes, right? So that's what the ambiguity is involved in this particular point. Right? So wherein we consider the ships, aeroplanes, even people have been known to disappear, right? So without the explanation in the area of this region of North Atlantic Ocean, right, that we are considering as Bermuda Triangle, right? Now, could it be extraterrestrials? Could be some force pulling objects under the sea, or a link to fabled lost city of Atlantis? So this is another ambiguity we can consider, right? Ambiguity, there is no clarity that whether it is a kind of force, whether it is kind of extraterrestrials, right, or a kind of the fabled. Again, you know, the city of Atlantis is lost. So, right. So, or some are saying that simply it is a bad weather, right? Some are also saying that it is human error, right? Or some are also saying that there will be a heavy traffic in this region, fine. So no one knows the certain answer. No one knows the certain answer. But till date, if you consider more than 50 ships, 20 planes, right, have been vanished, right? If you consider last 2 centuries, right, then more than 20 ships, 50 ships and 20 planes have been vanished. And it is assumed that, or people are considering that, yes, they are being pulled by this particular layer, right? So this would be a point we can consider. So just to answer your question, yes, there is a lot of ambiguity, but very recently, some of the clarities are being put forward by the scientist, so that some sort of ambiguity would reduce as far as answer of this particular question. The way of going into the universe. Okay. Okay, if nothing else, then we will stop. I think next teacher is waiting.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have
Thank you, sir.
a nice day.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, sir.